See, that's an ominous look for sure, because you can see the circle of the hurricane right there.
Time is of the essence. Act now.
Just wait till you see some of the pictures. I've seen video of a camera that was positioned at 8 feet on a road, and that camera is now going underwater.
Welcome to Live with Mollie. It is Tuesday, September 16th, and I'm here with my friend Krista Kowalczyk, who has written a book, Beyond the Storm. And I just want to welcome you here, Krista. We are live. Hello. And
welcome to
one of the things that has happened is something is live in the background. So let's just see if we can figure that out. I think it might be something with, making sure that we're going live. Okay. Occasionally I leave the YouTube video on and then I can hear it in the background. So let me just bring you back on, Krista, and we're going to see if that worked. Okay. There we go.
Sorry, I was hearing an echo for a second, but I think we're good.
We're good. Yep.
Hello. Hi, Mollie.
Hello. I cannot imagine what life was like for you when Hurricane Ian hit. And I know you've had to recount your story so many times, but those images, to see that is just makes your heart race. And I cannot imagine what that was like. And in your book, I know you guys were expecting the storm, and then it hit and you were out in the street, and then the first responders arrived, and that's when you started to hear just how bad it was. What was that like?
Gosh, well, first, that video it gives me chills. It really does. And the one thing I just always like to point out to people is why you see those images is that to understand the size of that. It wasn't one community, or you look at one island in a video. It would take people an hour to drive from one destroyed home to another. That's the span of how far that went. So the size of it was really to this day, really hard for me to even comprehend just how much impact that had on this region. But we were cut off. The storm just went on forever, the day of the storm, and it just took away all our communication. So by the end of the day, we really didn't have a way to even communicate to find out, what exactly is the actual situation. So it was the next morning, literally before the sun came up, like my whole neighborhood, we were out in the street kind of trying to assess the situation. And a first responder had come over who had been up all night. So the storm kind of came to a point where we could go outside, I don't know, maybe around 9 p.m.-ish, 10 p.m. I think it was about 10. So then it was dark out. There was nothing we could do. So we really didn't know, what was going on. So the next morning we wake up, the storm's over, the sun comes out that day. And this first responder came over and told us the work he had done all night and how, things I don't even really want to talk about, to be honest with you, but just very, some just disturbing moments and like heart-wrenching things. And that's when the full scope of it really set in. And looking at this first responder that I was speaking with, who I know has dealt with car accidents and home fires, and he's seen things. I'm sure he's seen things, but the look on his face, he looked like he had seen a ghost. He looked just shaken. And that image will never leave me, for sure.
I really felt that your book, and it's Beyond the Storm, just came out in June. Yeah. As I read through it, it's like part Florida history. I think it's almost like a part travel guide, personal memoir. That's a leadership guide for the youth and the young people, across the country who helped you. And there's a few important tips for saving pictures in there. Like it's not your everyday just go organize your photos. There is so many stories in here that really, really, touched me. And as a photo organizer, when disaster happens, I hate when people are like, well, are you going to go tell everybody what to do? And I'm like, well, it's kind of too late now. And, the people who see some of the images that I'll share, or that you've shared even on national television, I still think the sense of urgency kind of diminishes as time passes. And so I'm on a mission to help promote your book and help people save photos. Any day you can save a couple here and there.
Yes. Yeah. I have to tell you, Molly, one of the things that really inspired me is that there are some fabulous deep dive books, and yours is the best of the best. If you want all the details, you want a deep dive, you want this whole project done, and you want to do it, you have the Bible of getting photo organized. But I thought of this from the beginning as the book you read before you read Mollie's book. Like, this is the inspiration. I want everybody who reads this to realize how hurtful, how painful it is to have no photos left, nothing of your history left, how much pain that is, and motivate people to start thinking about it. And even if it is just a few photos or just a little bit, to take action and get your book with the deep dive into everything they're going to do.
I have a link with your book and my books in it. I'll share that later. Reading, is such an important thing to do these days. And thank you for calling out my books too. But you take what you read and then do something with it. Today more than ever, like, family photos are so important, and I really appreciate that. So let me just share a few photos of the work that you had done. And these are photos that you've shared in other places. So let me bring them on. And here's a couple pictures. What was going on here?
So this was a home, I believe they had gotten about 10 feet of water in this home in North Fort Myers. And they were just, taking everything to the curb, every single item in the house, including the appliances. Everything that was left in the house got taken out to the curb. And this is my husband is in the photo here, a couple other friends, just people volunteering to help take everything to the curb, because everything was destroyed. It was crazy when you walk this home. A lot of work, obviously the carpeting's been pulled up and everything already. A lot has been done already. But when you walked in, it kind of like had this look like if you had taken the house and just gave it a shake and set it down. Everything was upside down, tipped over in the room it didn't start in. I know people, their refrigerator was in the bedroom. I know people that don't know where their refrigerator was. That's how much force that water had. So this is just cleaning up, taking everything, just taking the cabinetry right now. They're taking out to the curb to go to the trash.
Wow. And I see the photos, that some of them were in frames in the corner of the picture here.
Yes. So that's just photos they collected from around the house. Some of them, they were water damaged. They had mud on them. They, were quite messy, but they had started collecting them in hopes of maybe being able to salvage some of them.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And at what point did you realize you were going to be helping? And for people who don't know you, the reason why we met is because you actually volunteered and worked like crazy. You and your family were helping people recover what they could during that storm and like the whole year following. And I bet you still have photos that you're helping people with.
Still do have some for sure.
At what point did you get involved? So day 2, you meet the first responder. How did that happen?
So it started with my friend Kay. So first off, I'm a lifelong photographer. I've owned my business for almost 30 years. I have my bachelor's degree in photography. So taking pictures has always been my life. Nothing like what you do. I've never thought about organizing pictures or other people's pictures at all. It's not something that ever occurred to me, really. But then as I saw people collecting, the first family, actually, it was my neighbor's father. So that was the first home I went to. And she had started collecting these photos that were around the home and asked me if there's anything I could do. And I was like, well, I know some basic tips to this stuff. I, had to take these classes in college on photo restoration going back many years. But I remember some of the things and I know some basic things about it. So that's where it started. But I realized from talking to her and then talking to the neighbors in that community that most people had no idea what could be done with the photos. So that just kind of made me think, like, let's do some posts on social media, because like I said, it was everybody in my community. So I just went to even my own personal Facebook page and just said, hey guys, like, if you know anybody, these are things that can be done with your photos while you're taking everything else to the curb. Don't throw the photos out yet. And just started telling people the things they could do. One thing though is anybody who's lived through any kind of disaster understands this. When you have a home fire or tornado, flooding, whatever it is, everything is urgent. Everything needs to be done immediately. So I started just offering to literally take people's photos, taking strangers' photos, saying, just give me your photos. And it's sometimes I think back, I don't know if I've talked about this before with anyone, but sometimes I do think back that under normal circumstances, would people like take their life collection of photos and hand it to a stranger and say, good luck, I don't even have your phone number, but okay. But that was the situation. I mean, it was a crisis mode and people were just desperate for help. So I just kind of went door to door and got one person to say, hey, call this person. And so ended up just filling my car and my entire house with mud damaged, sludgy, gross photos that stunk a little bit, but I did my best to wash them and mostly just digitize them and get the memory back for people. So I just started doing that. So that was the whole.
The left pictures from your home you used, and I'm sorry, I put another picture. This is an example of when we saved photos after a fire. We hung dried them, but you laid them out flat and they were all over your house.
Every flat surface had photos on it. I tried to leave a little space carved out for my husband to eat dinner, have his breakfast in the morning on our countertop. But yeah, we have a dining room table, a kitchen table, the whole bar. Even my garage was filled and a folding table set up. I mean, it was every space that I could have was just filled with people's photos, trying to get them cleaned up. A lot of my objective was to get them cleaned up enough that I could digitize them for them, because I don't know if you can ever get rid of that, the mold that was on them. You can wash it off, but I think the best thing is to get that digital copies. That's what I did.
And then the digital copies, you developed a network of people to restore them. That was amazing.
Yeah, I went to my alumni association, photo groups, different photography groups that I'm a part of on Facebook, and just said, hey, this is the situation here. I'm overwhelmed with these photos. And this is 3 years ago. AI wasn't as good as it is now too. So it just took a little bit more time to do some basic restoration than maybe. I think that now every day, like, darn, if this had come out, if we had these tools 3 years ago accessible, might have been a little bit easier. But so I had a ton of people volunteer to all over the country, every corner of the country. People were volunteering, and I would just send them the digital copies. They would do their magic and send them back. I even had one lady who's works for magazines. She does like catalog work and some really like high end, like just amazing. And here she is retouching somebody's bar mitzvah photo. And I was like, wow, that is just like, how sweet is that this woman is offering these skills that these big companies are paying her a lot of money for a talent that's quite impressive. And she's offering it to a family here in Southwest Florida. I mean, I really think that's sweet.
So this is just a question that just came to me. Are you prepared for the next time a disaster hits to be a
Oh
go-to
gosh,
resource?
yes and no. I don't know if you can ever be enough um, physically prepared. I mean, we've done all the things we can. Emotionally prepared, no. So, I just saw something posted recently, like yesterday or something. This is the only time in, I don't know, 80 years, the first time in 80 years. I'm off a little bit on my exact numbers here, but it's the first time in 80 years that there isn't an active hurricane happening right now. Did you see that as well? Yeah,
Yeah.
which is crazy because I don't know, just the way things have been lately. I thought this is it. Like it could be this year. Fingers crossed. We still have time.
Knock on wood.
It's still hurricane season right now. And actually, we're still 2 weeks away from when Hurricane Ian hit us. So in 2 weeks will be the 3-year
Wow.
marker of when the storm had hit.
Unbelievable. In your book, I have it open to this page because I loved this story. You kept somebody's photo. and I have done that over the years. A family has given a picture because you just start feeling connected. And this is what you wrote. This is about Bud from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And you were looking at the photo and imagining the life that he led. You actually Googled up some answers about his, he served in the U.S. Navy as a Seabee during World War II. You knew he was married for 62 years. He passed away in 2013. And the photo, the family felt you would get more enjoyment out of it than they would. So they graciously, let you have that. And we always would have the digital version of it anyway, but having a physical photo really means something. You wrote here, wondering about that photo the moment it was taken. Could he have imagined that a stranger who was yet to be born for another 30-some years would eventually display it on her desk? The photo has value to you, but in a different way than to him when he might have mailed it back to his parents. And it's so thought-provoking, and you wondered, where will all of our photos end up? Someday on a stranger's desk. Just tell me a little bit more about your attachment, to this photo.
Yeah, I really love that photo, considering it's not somebody I've ever known or have no connection to. But I do. A few things strike me about it when I was going through. Literally thousands and thousands of photos. I saw a lot of similarities. There was a lot of similar pictures and a lot of military pictures, a lot of older military pictures that came through. But this one in particular was different than the other military photos. The fact that it's in the casual fatigues, it's this profile. It really struck me. It was like no other photo that I had come across as I was going through these photos. So I loved that. I loved the hand coloring to it. So I just thought, something about the photo had like an artistic quality to it almost. So I just loved that about it. And when I was meeting with the family that this photo they had this photo, they had thousands of pictures. We went through so many of them and digitized tons of photos for them and really got this all organized for them. And we went through and I just pointed out some of my favorites and got a few stories, which was really neat about the different photos. But this one in particular, I told them that I was like, I just love this picture. It has a great quality. I said, make sure you take care of this one. It's really neat. And we went through the rest of the photos. And then at the end, the woman I was speaking with, she's in her late 80s at the time. She had said, I have lots of pictures of this is, my Uncle Bud. I have lots of photos of him. I don't have any use for it. Nobody else would want it. Why don't you keep this photo if you really treasure it that much? And I was like, well, absolutely. I'm like, are you sure? But she insisted. And I keep the photo. And so now to me, it represents to the entire project, the work I did. So it is more to me than just the artistic quality that I love about the photo. It is brings me back to that time when I was working on these photos and had a house with every flat surface covered in pictures.
I just feel a little choked up about it because, this is a man who is photographed serving his country. And Krista, I mean, that's what you did. You served these people, and I just really am moved by it. I love that you just mentioned that it was hand colored, because when I got this, I was like, there's something off about the picture, like the coloring, and I didn't get it until you said that it was hand colored. This is chalked, right? Is that?
I'm not sure I'm not sure the coloring method. I should look into that more and get more of the history of the actual print itself. Considering all of the investigation I did of Uncle Bud.
Well, we get portraits here, and we'll have the black and white version, and then the chalked is what we call it, the chalked version. And this really actually does look chalked to me, now that you mention it, but I'm still not 100% sure, because I don't see it's so detailed, the coloring and the shading of the brown. I'm not certain, so I'll have to someday when we're together, I'll have to look at it physically.
You inspired me too. I'm gonna have to do it. Or if anybody else has any tips out there this year about the history of a photo like that. I just wondered in general, just because I had not seen any other photos like this one, in the casual fatigues and the look of it, the profile. Is it like, I'm curious if anybody else has seen similar photos, or if you have. To me, it was very unique. And
Which I should mention, we are live here today, and you can certainly chime in if you've got a question for Krista or myself, or just a thought to share. And if the history of this strikes you, or throw a comment and we'll share it. In fact, we have a comment here from Flighty Lens. Makes her think of makes her think of the ways she's used her dad's old photos, and what strangers will see them because of how you've used them. Dad's old photos. Very cool that you had this thought process about the photo. So thank you for sharing that. And I just can't stress enough how important it is to get into the pictures that your parents and your grandparents have, or aunts and uncles who might have inherited photos. Like their stories. In fact, about a month ago, someone brought me in a box from a garage that was out in California, and he called me and he's like, there's a Civil War diary in here. We don't know whose it is, but maybe you can figure it out. And the box was like a super big mess, and so we went through all of it, the pictures, the documentation. There's genealogy that had been done back in the 60s and 70s. And when we mapped it out, we figured out that the person with the diary, which, by the way, there were two portraits inside of it with a name on there. Didn't recognize the name at first, but then when we were able to organize it all and map the family tree out, we figured out it was our client's great uncle. Wow. Who actually died, killed in action. And the end of the diary says, this is written by so-and-so, he was killed in action. And it was returned to the family to be stored in a garage for decades. And it's, going to be really interesting now to transcribe the notes in that diary. The garages and the attics, go dig, because, you can find a picture like Krista had here, and it matters to remember these people, especially aunts and uncles who had no children, and, their lives mattered. They were a big part, and this gentleman's service mattered, and we're going to find out more about this, Krista. We'll come back to you someday.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I want to know everything there is to know about it, for sure.
One other story that I really enjoyed reading about was the sorority pictures. Were you in a sorority?
Yes, you did. Yeah. I was in Delta Phi Epsilon at RIT in Rochester, New York.
Yeah, you're gonna have to share a picture of that from some time.
Yes.
So you had a picture sitting somewhere, I forget exactly where, and your daughter saw it.
Yeah.
And she
So
says, "Oh, I'll let you tell the story."
yeah, this is really, I mean, we laughed so hard over this. I went to visit my family. So I'm in Florida. My family all lives in Pennsylvania, and my dad still has boxes that I've left there from college, some old stuff. So I'm up visiting. I leave through box, and I find this old sorority composite photo. So it's those photos where you're wearing like the black velvet robe. So there's nothing fashion wise you can tell. Like it's just the same robe they've been using for 100 years. Who knows? So I had this composite. It literally says proof across the front of it. And I thought, wow, this is pretty neat. I should take this with me. So I took it home with me that after that trip, brought it back to Florida, and just set it on my desk. And I am a little bit of a procrastinator. I do procrastinate sometimes. It sat on my desk for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. It was there forever, but I had it kind of propped up in the corner so you could see it when you walked in. And my daughter came home to visit. Now, she lives about 2 hours away. And she came in, and at that point, she was in college in Miami. She was also in a sorority in Miami then, and had also done those composite photos like they've done for years and years. And she comes into my office. She came home, comes into my office, and before she even said hello to me, I think, she saw this photo across the room propped up on my desk. And she goes, "Mom, how did you already get my sorority composite photo?" She hadn't even seen it yet, hers. And I'm like, that's me. Like, that's not you, that's me. But she was so completely convinced when she saw this photo that it was the one she had done. And it really drove home to both of us how we hear a lot of people say, oh, you look alike, or, you have similar features, but we died laughing because to the two of us, it was really funny how that photo made the connection for the two of us at how we really are similar. So seeing each other at the same age in a black robe that could have been any time in that timeless fashion, really was, it was funny. We fooled her into thinking that I was her. So that was just a really funny moment, but a reminder of how photos, like they do more than just share the story. Sometimes they make you realize something.
There's connections. I believe it so firmly. My my son went to Badger Boys State a couple years ago, and I had been a Badger Girls State in high school. And we have photos of both ends of it, and I just challenge you and other people out there to be in your pictures enough that you can put those things together, because like our families really benefit when we share and talk about memories and stories, especially with little children. I've read that kids who talk about family stories, like significant amount of it, have better feelings of connectedness and belonging. The resilience is higher, and in this day and age, our youth really needs those stories to be told and shared so they can see how they fit, and maybe even be motivated, to do something like I don't know if your daughter's situation was motivated because you were, but it's important.
That's such an interesting fact, though, Mollie. And it seems like common sense when you say that out loud, that of course you'd feel more connected to your family if you were talking about them, but using the photos to create that connection. Yeah, I love that.
For sure. So I'm hoping that people, get a sense of, the impending doom of disaster or other situations that can steal your memories away. And you've heard what Krista has described, in the process, and then see how photos can really be a bigger part of your life. And organizing should not be something that you dread. Like I probably shared this a zillion times, but I love it. One of my friends said, I would rather clean toilets than work with my pictures. And one of our clients, she came in, I'll never forget this. She's like, okay, I'm ready. I did have to take a Xanax, but I'm ready. So we have a few things coming up because September is Save Your Photos Month. And this is a fantastic opportunity to take advantage of a few events. And I'm going to just share a couple things. The first is, let me just get over to my little website. You know, I always have to kind of figure this out. We have, let me just, where did it go, Krista? We're going to just add a scene here, I guess. And I just think that's so funny. Technology gets me too. So we just have to find here. Stick with me. I'm gonna.
It is exciting that it is Save Your Photos Month. There's so many things
Yes.
going on, and I really hope everybody participates in one of the events that we're chatting about. There's so much to learn, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming and daunting. It really can be something that is a process that's simple if you have the right tools to do it and the right method.
I figured it out. Thank you for covering for me there. So the first event starts on Friday, September 26th through the 27th. And I am posting a link in the chat where you can register for this. We have, it's just simply a time to work on your pictures. We're there to answer questions. This time, it's my friend Ann Matuzek who helped me start Pixology. She and I will be having the boot camp Friday night for 3 hours. We will answer questions, give guidance. We have both a virtual attendee and an in-person attendee option, and I would definitely think about it. Last year, Krista did this with me. However, she got double booked this year, and we have to share what she's going to be doing. And I will just share this screen. So the photo managers who started the Save Your Photos Month a long time ago, we participated in this, but they have every year Save Your Photos Month. And I don't know, Krista, do you want to describe a little bit about this? I'll scroll through the option. It's one day. Of course, it's the same day as ours. So you have options.
Yes, lots of options, but definitely, and anybody that's local to you there, Molly, I think having the opportunity to work hands-on with you is, I mean, you are the photo guru. You are the person I go to with questions. So anybody who has that opportunity, I really think needs to take you up on that, because you are definitely, you have a method for teaching that is wonderful as far as being, I don't think, somebody who's not tech savvy or somebody who doesn't know the technology and maybe does feel needs to take a Xanax first. You are the calm, the know-how, the all that. So I think anybody that's in person should definitely join you or join your virtual event. I'm actually going to be talking about in my unfortunately the same day, but in my event, I'm going to be talking about something that's a little bit different. It's a new presentation I'm doing, but I'm super excited about it. So I'm doing what I'm calling a grab and go box, or grab and go memories. I talked to so many people who they want to get the whole thing organized, and people that have been following me on social media for years, or I've been chatting with, or I meet, and they say, oh yeah, I'm planning to get to that, I just haven't gotten to it yet, or I'm going to be doing it. And my concern is just that as time goes on and people are doing nothing, that they are putting those photos at risk. And maybe just looking at it from a different perspective of, let's not make it the whole project. Let's not do every single photo, organize every photo. Let's talk about methods that we can make it just the VIP pictures, the most important, the ones you'd be most devastated to lose. And I'm going to talk about just how to select those pictures, how to do it quickly, how to store them and have them ready so you can have a box that can go with you if you need to evacuate. It's going to be generally more safe from a storm. So I'm focusing more on, I guess, photo organizing light, I'll call it, like the quick, how to quick gloss over. So I've created an entire workbook that people will be able to take and use to follow this method.
Very cool. And there's a lot of awesome speakers in this. So you would go for the whole day, and I think it's like $79 or something. So if you want more education and options and all of that, I think this is a good option. If you want to actually work on your pictures, we certainly will talk about, what a folder structure should look like, and, we'll have assistance right there to keep you going. And that's what I have found, is that so often people will go to the education, they'll read the books, but then they don't do the work. And that's why I'm really committed to making sure that the work happens. Now, don't be overwhelmed by that, because we have fun when you're in a group setting. All right. So these are opportunities for this month. And I'm gonna, root for you that if you do nothing else this month, just save last month's photos. You can just start with one small task.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if you're like still thinking, okay, that's too much, too overwhelming, Krista and I have put together, and Krista put this together, so
Oh, that's not true. It's our own brainstorming child we put together.
We have a cruise February 16th through the 21st, and coming up in 5 months. And
It's 5 months, I can't wait.
And this is really to have fun together, all right? And learn a few things about photos and be in some warm weather. I'm going to just paste the information in the chat here. And it is showing up in our YouTube channel. So that is the best place to watch our podcast. Anyway, there's classes when we're at sea, and I think we're just gonna have a lot of fun. And when I think about having fun, I've got to go back to photos. So let me share you.
I love this.
This is pictures from 1994. Thankfully, the welcome aboard sign says it. I had just graduated with my bachelor's in social work, and my friend and I went on a cruise. It's the last time I've been on a cruise, so it's like 30 years.
Oh my gosh, you're due. You are overdue for a cruise.
So, and you know what is funny about these photos is I threw away all the other pictures, and I'm kind of sad now, because even in 94, you weren't taking a zillion of pictures. You just had the ones that were printed. So I know there was a picture of me holding a turtle and, things like that. And I think they're gone. But, it looks like I got the main places we were in, which one of them was Cancun. And that is one of our locations, I think, Cancun.
Cozumel.
Oh, Cozumel. Oh, Cozumel. Yes, I was in Cozumel too, but it doesn't show it here. Anyway, you don't need to know that. So this is like, okay, standard pictures. Back then, we didn't do too much goofy. And then I want to show you this photo. Like, this family looks like they're having the time of their life. And look who's down there in the center. Krista's one of the most fun people I have met, and the two of us together, I think, will have a great time.
Yes.
And
oh my gosh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely love to laugh. So I am excited. I'm just excited about, I will say this, Molly, you are the one who told me, early on when we had met, that people in the photo organizing community are generally super kind and super just nice, genuine people. And as I've gone meeting other people that are professional photo organizers, I'm finding that too. But I think it goes beyond just the photo organizer. It's people that care deeply about their memories and they're nostalgic. They're a special breed of people. So I'm excited that we're going to have this group come together that are all people that care about their photos, they care about their memories, and they want to have fun. So I just think it's going to be a blast. I'm really, really excited.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So you guys, maybe you'll join us. I've got a link there, and I would certainly be happy to talk to you if you have questions. So speaking of questions, I know Lori has one. I'm going to get to you in a second. This is just a comment again from Flighty Lens. She dreads it. She used to not do it. She still dreads it and does it. Before she changed her mindset, she lost an entire hard drive of pictures. Very horrible. That is a technology disaster. Thank you for sharing that story. And this is a question. Lori, so good to see you here. I hope you are doing well. You're asking, what is the sweet spot for saving photos? Like, how many? So I think there's two questions that we have to answer. One is the old pictures, and one is the new pictures. And I don't know, Krista and I think we might have diverged on this. How many photos do you think people should save?
All of them, every single photo. No, I know I'm definitely more of a pictureaholic, and I do save more than I think you would slap me on the wrist if you saw my hard drives.
Well, I think you've helped me open my eyes, and I've had situations where I have been too quick to delete pictures or throw them away, like those pictures from my 1994 cruise. What was I thinking? And then Lori, you're saying you don't want too many, but you don't want regret. So I would say, and this is broadly for whether you have print or digital, if you hesitate, just keep it. Do not spend any more, don't spend any more emotional energy on it. Just keep it. Something might prompt you later to maybe delete some of them. But I am of the opinion that if you hesitate, just keep it and move on. We don't want to be slowed down by that. The other tip that I would say is stop taking so many photos, because if you take fewer, you have less stress trying to figure out what to keep. And that has helped a lot of my clients out. And that would be, it's not answering a question how many. There's no right or wrong answer, but I have a formula that I just tell people about. It's a formula you can give or take, but if you take, let's just say 30 pictures a month, that's not going to be very many. I know. Let's just say, like, I'm going to just take August, all right? I took 600 photos on my phone. When I deleted the unnecessary stuff, like the repetitive pictures, not all of the repetitive pictures, but most of them, I was down to about 300. And then I saved, like the family ones, was probably around 150. Which is a lot for me in my life right now, but 150. If you have 100 photos a month that are your family keepers, that's 1,200 in a year. So if you played that for 3 seconds, it's like, I don't know, it's a long time to play through all of that. But if you favorited 30 a month, that's where my 30 came from. If you favorite 30 a month, you would end up with 30 times 12 is 360. You would end up with a good batch for a slideshow that's actually watchable. You could get through it all. And make a 50-page photo book with the memories of the year. And, you know, that's just a guideline. Now, every family's different, and I have people who are taking thousands of pictures and videos in a month, and that's not sustainable. You'll never catch up if it's, you know, that many. So I'll turn it over to Krista if you have any other.
Yeah, I do take a lot, and I definitely have a process where I delete the junk pictures, but not nearly as liberally as you do. the way I look at it, though, is I really focus on my favorites folder. So I put a lot of effort into making sure, less that I'm deleting the junk, but more effort I'm putting into making sure the favorites are marked properly, so that I can do like the steps you're talking about. And so I would say, first off, just making sure if you're not sure what to delete or what, I mean, a favorites folder is really a powerful thing. I have a funny story that actually had one of my clients that maybe 2 years ago. They were engaged and they asked me to do their engagement photos, and they wanted to recreate a photo, and it was them in kindergarten. And the funny thing with this particular photo of them together in kindergarten was that they were just coincidentally in the same class, I believe, and they'd gone to the beach on a class trip, since we're close to the beach. And there was a snapshot taken of the two of them together. They weren't close. They didn't really know each other. They went separate ways, didn't even see each other again. But thankfully that snapshot had been saved, because then they met up again 25 years later, and we're using this. They brought it back, this photo. But I think in a normal world, these two kids that weren't even really friends that got a snapshot during a class trip might have been a quick one to throw in the trash. So I don't know. I think about things like that sometimes, where, I do keep maybe more than I should.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need 7 pictures of those two kids together. If I have a picture of the kids at the class trip, the beach, one picture of the beach, one picture of the kids together, but I don't just throw out as liberally as I think you have advocated to do. But I think as long as everyone's doing that favorites folder and really be religious about it and making sure that they're doing that as a process, those photos will always live alone as an organized group.
Mm-hmm. So just out of curiosity, when you say favorites folder, is that a folder on your computer, or is it you're an Apple user? Is it on your phone?
I mark my favorites all the time on my phone, so I'm constantly doing it that way. Okay. But then I also have it on my computer. This is kind of my own goofy method, but I have different levels of favorites. I actually have one folder that is my all-time favorite photos. So I have a favorites that's like 200 photos from my entire life, and actually pictures of my dad and his childhood. I mean, it's my everything in one little folder. I just feel like if I need these very VIP pictures, I have those in a folder. But then I have a favorites for each month as well.
I love it. I love it. All right. One last question before we wrap up. I did get some phone calls over the past few weeks because in Milwaukee we had severe flooding, a lot of damage. I think FEMA's involved up here as well. And one of the questions that came up was someone called here and she's like, I've got this batch of photos. They're from my daughter's adoption, my only copy. They are stuck together like a block. And she wanted to know if they could be saved. When we've had this happen, and we don't really work with storm damaged photos anymore, but when we've had it happen, we recommend, or we used distilled water in just a Tupperware container, and you put those pictures in there. If they are modern pictures, and these were printed in 2000, printed with the modern print techniques, you can soak them and the ink won't run. So you would put the block of pictures in the distilled water for a few hours, check and see if anything peels up. I think this batch, we left it for 24 hours or more, and we're just slowly peeling the ones that would come up, and we were able to save most of those. So that's one tip. I saw on Reddit that other people were just using plain water, but that we just happened to, I think we saw somewhere to use the distilled water. I don't know, did you come across any of this kind in your work?
Yeah, I did come across a lot of them. My biggest tip, we did the same methods that you're talking about, but my tip would be to address it as soon as possible. Even if they seem like they're dry, but it's only been a week or two, you're much better off than 8 months later. They just get harder and harder. And after time, it's going to be like a cement block. So it just becomes more and more challenging to try to separate them. So I would say that's the kind of situation you want to address right away. And I have talked to many people now since the storm that have had, a flood in their basement or, just want to know. And I'm like, immediately just spread those photos out so they're not touching each other. And that's the best thing you can do, even if you can't address cleaning them up or, what you're going to do with them, just spread them out as quick as possible, because in the first day of that water damage, they'll just come right apart easily. But with every day past that, they get drier and drier. So I would just say address it as soon as possible. And I also tell people, because like I said, I know when you've had flood damage, whether it's a flood in your basement or, a hurricane damage, whatever, you're overwhelmed by, all of the things coming at you. Don't be afraid to ask people, ask your friend. This is spreading your photos out for you is something anybody can do. And most people want to help when there's a situation like this. So asking, your cousin, your aunt, your neighbor, do you mind helping me for an hour? Or people are asking, what can I do to help you? Just give them that big box of photos and say, spread these all out. And it will make a world of difference. You can salvage photos that have been through water if you do that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great idea, to ask other people to help. And I know people want to help and they feel helpless. And this is an important part that needs to get addressed. And the speed is important. And since you mentioned that, it reminded me this particular project that came to us was photos that were in a fire. And the fire recovery company put them all in a basket and put them in a locked, storage unit that was not air conditioned in July. So we got it 3 weeks, just 3 weeks later, and there was significant mold. So if you can't do it right away, freeze them. You could freeze them and then thaw them when you're able to focus on it. So that topic, saving photos from a fire, is what I will be talking about next week on the podcast Live with Mollie. Next week is going to be about saving photos after a fire, and in line with the Save Your Photos Month. So with that being said, I don't see any other questions. I just want to thank you, Krista, for all that you've done in joining me here today. And she's the one who found me, and I'm ever so grateful that our paths have crossed. It is true. This field is full of people that are warm and wonderful and want to help.
Absolutely. Well, you have such a great YouTube channel. It's so informative. If anybody from my community is watching, definitely subscribe to Mollie's YouTube channel, because I just fell in love. I was on an airplane at the time and I fell in love with your content. I think I binged half of your videos in one weekend, and I had to reach out. So I'm so glad we did connect.
Thank you. All right, then I will be posting links in the show notes afterwards for those of you who might not have seen them in the chat. And thank you so much, everybody, for spending time with us. And we will see you the next time, okay? Take care. Bye-bye.